Hi everyone, Catherine here from Ink Finger Cat, back with Christmas in July video. This is number 16 and we have a sketch. I shall pop the sketch properly on the screen, so editor Catherine, do that now, because I think I slightly changed it up, just a tad. But I think it's basically the same sketch. I will check before I start making it. So yeah, what is Christmas in July, you might ask? You might not be a subscriber, you might not have seen any videos from me before, so hello, welcome to the madness. Christmas in July is where I attempt to make a festive project every single day on video and share with you throughout the whole of July. And if we're on day 16, do you know what that means? It means by the end of this project, we are halfway there. We have done more than halfway. Why do I pick a month that has 31 days? It does not divide well, but getting there. It's quite a mammoth undertaking to film all of these videos. I love doing it though, really enjoy Christmas crafting, and it's lovely to share with people. And my series is going well so far and has significantly boosted all of the stats on my channel, which I was not expecting. So delightful to have you all with me. Apart from having grabbed some papers, and obviously I've got a sketch to follow. Don't really know what I'm doing. I've not got a focal element at the moment, but these are Kingston Crafts papers. I have got lots of Kingston Crafts bits and bobs I can probably put with it. Might put something else with it, don't know, not decided yet. I am in the midst of chaos. Earlier today, I filmed a whole video that went up. I'm actually a week ahead of schedule at this point. So I did a little haul video of some new papers, but I've put them to one side. I've been a good girl, and I'm going to keep with the plan of using these Kingston Crafts ones. But I'm also in the midst of making loads of samples for some design team work. So my whole room is just chaos. I am incredibly warm because we're now heading into heatwave number 2. So it does seem bizarre to be filming Christmas videos when you're this warm. Good news is it's not unbearable yet. It's close to, but it's not unbearable yet. And then on top of that, I had a beautiful allergic reaction to something. So I am also a little bit itchy. I'm a little bit spotty, so you might spot it on my arms and stuff. Don't worry, I'm absolutely fine apart from being a bit itchy. The drugs are starting to kick in. It's significantly improved from how it was. But yeah, it's been a bit of an interesting week or so. Okay, I've rambled for a lot longer than I normally do, so I'm going to stop now and pop you in the overhead and let's get crafting. So, I pretty much followed the sketch for this card. I decided to use all these pattern papers and unusually did not, well, I added in one little piece of adhesive cardstock in a solid colour, but otherwise I decided not to mat and layer them, which I would do normally. I wouldn't normally use this much pattern paper together without matting and layering, but I decided that for the most part I wouldn't. Instead, I'll just share with you a little trick that I use, which is to use a pen to basically create a little false border between the pieces of the pattern paper, and that really helps to bring it together. Now obviously it helps if you've got coordinating pattern papers, so these are, as I said earlier, Kingston Crafts ones. They're from last year's Christmas, perfect for going together because you know the colours are all going to match. And I fiddle around about which order I want these particular strips in. Does it really matter? No, of course it doesn't, but that's what I ended up doing. And I'm afraid I don't remember the exact sizes, but I end up with them on a 6-inch, or just slightly smaller than a 6-inch square card blank. So I'm going to guess it's about 5 1/4, 5 inches for the 2 bigger squares. And I think the small square is probably 2 1/2, 2 3/4 inch squares. I know those strips were 1 1/4 inch wide, but I've no idea how long they were. So apologies for that. I haven't got the card to hand to measure it. So this is my little trick to basically create a false boundary to, well, it's not a false boundary, but a false layer, I suppose, or false matte to my pieces of cardstock. It's literally, I just have a piece of paper down, I use my alcohol marker with the bullet nip, just basically draw it along the line, using the edge of the paper to kind of guide it. I wouldn't do this with pens that you're really precious about, I must admit. You want pens that you're not as bothered about. I am not careful with my alcohol markers. I've had many of them for many years. Quite a few of them are actually sort of like not the inkiest at the moment. So in fact I think this week I have thrown 2 pens away because of the fact that I've realised that they were not as inky as they should be. So then I'm just going to basically layer it all up. All the bottom layers have gone down as flat layers, just with my ATG. And then I'm going to adhere this red square to the piece of the dark green that I pulled from my scrap straw. That is adhesive cardstock. It's from my Diamond Press, but I'm not going to use it as adhesive cardstock. I didn't bother taking the adhesive off it. Sometimes I'll rub my embossing buddy on it just to take some of the sticky out, but instead I just added the foam adhesive tabs all over. Right, embellishment wise, I went and grabbed this tray that had got in it an embellishment kit from Hey Little Magpie, and I've decided to use those 2 large white snowflakes. I'm just going to have them sort of like hanging off the square, so I am adding a little bit of dimension foam adhesive underneath the bits that are hanging off, just to protect them so that they don't sag. But I am into like fiddle around with them a little bit so that they're covered up mainly. And then I also had in that tray, it was just some loose embellishments, including some of the acetate ones from Kingston Crafts. Best thing for doing these kinds of things is I tend to put them on white cardstock if I don't want it to show through. And in this case, I didn't want it to show through, partly because I was going to add some adhesive foam tabs under the ends and they would have shown through. And the best adhesive to use is that Kingston Crafts tape runner. When you're doing it with the acetate though, add the tape runner to your cardstock, then add the acetate on top. If you try and do it against the acetate itself, it struggles to come off the roller. Hope that makes sense. So I am just adding that little bit of foam adhesive on the ends of that banner sentiment, a little bit of wet glue for in the middle, and then I'm just going to stick that down. And that is the front of my card pretty much done. I'm going to find a 6x6 card blank, and that's what I'm going to add it to. Inside the card blank, I am going to use some of those scraps and those leftover bits and pieces. So as I say, I think those card blanks are probably 5 3/4, so maybe I did 5 1/2 for that bigger square. I can't remember exactly. I mean, the good thing about sketches is you can size them however you want. You can also change the actual orientation. You can change the type of card that you're doing. You could easily do this as a portrait card or as a landscape card. You just change the dimensions accordingly. But I know some people like to have measurements, so that's my attempt at being instructional. Apologies if it went weird with the sound then. I had to do a cough, so I had to just do a quick edit. Okay, that's my card done. It was a quick and easy one. I always find sketches are a little bit easier if you stick to them. As in, they're just ready to do. You don't need to do the thinking because the thinking's already been done in the design. And so yeah, nice, simple, easy card. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please do subscribe if you want to see future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Till next time, bye bye.